where part of this large tree came crashing down on the home behind me, hitting the roof as well as part of this truck. Now the cleanup is beginning. You can see crews working behind us with power lines, and one of the cars hit the side of that building, taking out the corner of it. Law enforcement officials are still on scene here where this crash happened.
From breaking news,
a killer is off the streets.
To politics,
the voter ID bill is now law.
To everything in between.
When they hit the front of their car on this guardrail, the back slid off, going right into the creek.
I'm Ryan Breslin, and I've covered some of the biggest stories in North Carolina.
The river's back there, but you can see this floodwater coming here. We're on a street.
As a reporter for Spectrum News.
Up to this living facility, and then even past that. Crews are still working now to remove this large tree from Southwest Cary Parkway. I want to show you some of the damage that we've been seeing. You can take a look at this driveway behind me. It ended with him being pronounced dead in that ditch here in Clayton. Tara, say so long, Raleigh, for now to the electric scooters. Bird says that they are flying away, and Lime Scooters is following suit. It being ripped off of its own braces, that about 15 feet away here. You can see that it likely, like the trees, snapped and flew from the storm. Good evening, Nick. Well, Governor Cooper says that he knows that this has been a difficult and frightening time for the people of Orange County, but has heard there's been deep gratitude in the community, knowing that there was no serious injuries from the storm. He also says that first responders as well as county leaders made the right calls when it came to this storm, especially getting young people out of schools as early as possible and getting them home before this storm hit. Now, as you mentioned, I'm at Mapleview Farm. I want to give you a look at some of the damage. Take a look right over here. This is a barn completely ripped off, some of it landing across the farm here, going all the way up the road of the farm. The governor did spend some time with the farm owners as well as the director of the Agricultural Education Center, walking through the damage along with the sheriff. Governor Cooper saw firsthand just how destructive the severe weather was.
When you look at the power of this storm and how it could have caused so much devastation over a long period, to have no one hurt is a great thing.
A barn ripped apart, scattered across the area, metal debris everywhere, and still gratefulness. That's what Governor Roy Cooper is seeing as he walks through Mapleview Farm in Hillsborough.
Farming's a hard job anyway, but weather makes it tougher.
No person on the farm was injured, and the cows managed to weather the storm. The farmer taking shelter inside this closet when it all hit.
What did it sound like?
Mostly just wind, and then until all the stuff started flying around and hitting.
On the opposite end of the land is the Mapleview Agricultural Educational Center, where both children and adults alike can learn more about farm animals from the nonprofit. Their busiest season is spring and fall when school groups come in. Luckily, with it being Good Friday, no one was there as trees cracked and playground equipment was tossed around the field.
It was a little overwhelming. I cried a lot, and then we just started picking things up and walking around and figuring out what we could salvage and what couldn't be salvaged and making sure that everyone was okay.
The farm isn't the only area of Orange County hurting. Leslie Drive in Chapel Hill took an incredible blow. The sheriff describes it as if a bomb went off. One of the residents on the road, State House Representative Greg Meyer.
I think every time I stop and I'm not focused on what the next task is, it kind of hits me and I go into shock again. And part of it is appreciation for just being alive and that my family's alive and that all of our neighbors are here and nobody got hurt. And part of it is sadness at the destruction and what it means for our home.
1, 2, 3, Westbrook! Now, Governor Cooper says that he is talking to emergency management, seeing if there's any avenues for either state or federal funding for the people affected. Right now, though, insurance adjusters are still on the different scenes, seeing what they can take care of. He says after that, they'll see if there's anything that the state can do. For now, in Hillsborough, Ryan Breslin, Spectrum News. It was a tense night here in Chapel Hill. Hundreds of people coming out to McCorkle Place, some to pay tribute to the fallen soldier, others to dance on his grave.
Not to go home! Not to go home! Not to go home!
From daylight, when just one Confederate flag-bearing man and dozens of people who never want Silent Sam back on UNC's campus, to sunset, when Alamance County Taking Back Alamance County marched on McCorkle Place to have a twilight service, Thursday's demonstrations were full of high emotions.
Let's go home! Let's go home!
At least 300 people filled the site where Silent Sam once stood, many to make noise against the group that wants to see it preserved and put back up.
Everybody's here unified against that force that seems to want to give that monument a peaceful death when it really doesn't deserve any of that.
And it was a back and forth as police set barricades for Act Back. That group spreading out a large Confederate flag to the people on the other sides.
They're definitely outnumbered, and they have their opinions. The ones outside have their opinions. They conflict, and to maintain safety and avoid violence, they are obviously easier to keep within the barricade than the large majority.
For every issue, there's going to be two sides of support. So I'm not in support of them, I'm not against them.
After only an hour, Act Back packed up. Anyone willing to say anything about the service tonight? Excuse me, ma'am. Willing to say anything about the twilight service? And though they were gone, small conflicts went on, like UNC police deploying pepper spray on some of the crowd. And events here in Chapel Hill went on for hours. We did actually hear from the Chapel Hill Carrboro Chamber of Commerce today. They were talking about how Silent Sam has affected businesses. They say that they want Chancellor Folt and the university to permanently relocate the statue. In Chapel Hill, Ryan Breslin, Spectrum News. Good afternoon. This group has been working for days to help the people of southeastern North Carolina. Right now, they're moving things out of this house. You can see them moving that refrigerator. It's just one of the things that they are doing to help put Wilmington on the road to recovery. Cutting limbs, clearing yard debris, moving heavy appliances, and delivering food to the elderly.
I ate some stale bread for breakfast this morning, so I thank y'all so much.
It's all about service for the volunteers with Sheepdog.
Whether it's veterans, the elderly, or low income, that's what we try to focus our efforts on.
They see themselves as society's protectors, and their mission is simple: find the damage and restore it back to order.
Whether it's 1,000 houses or one house, a disaster only matters to the person it's impacting at that point.
Sergeant Major Lance Nutt formed the organization years ago after coming home from deployment, seeing the devastation from Hurricane Katrina, and knew he wanted to continue to serve others. Now it's become part of his life's purpose.
I retired from the Marine Corps last Thursday after 30 years of serving, and while we were doing my retirement ceremony, this hurricane was coming ashore.
With 5,000 members strong, new recruits are joining all the time.
I left the fire line, slept for 4 hours, and got in a truck and drove for 5 days to get here.
These women and men are doing the heavy lifting for those who can.
It's been a great help. I tell them I would do this over and over and over for free. If you have the equipment and you have the fuel, it's like just taking care of the people and getting that stress off of them.
Together, they're aiding those who need it most while benefiting themselves.
It brings back that sensation of the camaraderie that comes with it while serving alongside a brother or sister that understands your need to continue giving back.
Now, we've seen so many people truly appreciative for the work that Sheepdog is doing. They're saying that it's helping them avoid high costs of contractors that they otherwise couldn't afford. Now, Sheepdog has 22 chapters across the country. One of their largest is in Western North Carolina. For now, in Wilmington, Ryan Breslin, Spectrum News.